You want to give a little bit of context?
Yeah, sure. So,
introduce yourself.
Oh, hi, I'm Dahlia. And one of the things we didn't argue the right way was there's actually a statue at this university that has about the 1968 Mexico Olympics, where two students at San Jose State actually, when they won the 200-meter dash, they stood up for African American rights. And it was really controversial because for a long time what they did the Black Power salute, which is associated with the Black Panthers. And for a long time the university they didn't want to acknowledge it, they didn't want to talk about it because it was something that they got a lot of critical reception for doing it. And people were upset and they were angry and the university didn't want to have a relationship with them. And then in 2005, a bunch of students who wanted to talk about this legacy of these two people who attended the university because they stood up for human rights, they stood up for African American rights. And one of the things we did in Argue the Right Way was we wrote essays about racism, arguments about racism. So, yeah. Okay. My first lens into racism was through my kindergarten teacher, Sally Goodis. Using the analogy of a sandbox, she explained how in the time of the civil rights movement, Black people lacked the rights that white people did. In her age-appropriate but ever-powerful lesson, there were two laminated cutout sandboxes, one for each race. Sally began by accessorizing the white sandbox with all the things a 5-year-old could ever desire in their sandbox. Brightly colored buckets and shovels, a burst of magenta petunias lining the outside of the play area, and most significantly, a gaggle of brightly dressed, smiling children. Her description of the Black children's sandbox was far more drab. They got the broken sand toys, a lawn of dried out, unkept flowers, and children with melancholy expressions sunken into their faces. Why did the Black children get less than the white children? What on earth did they deserve that? My kindergarten self would think innocently throughout the lesson. The question rings just as true today as it did during the civil rights movement and in the time of slavery. Why do Black people deserve less rights than white people? America still has a tremendous way to go when it comes to combating racism. This country was founded on the ideals of freedom and equality for all races and religions. We as a country pride ourselves on being a cultural melting pot that embraces the differences that make our heritages unique. But can we really pride ourselves on celebrating racial diversity until we take strides in eradicating racial discrimination across the nation? America is not denying that there is a serious race issue within the country. According to the popular news outlet New York Times, 6 out of 10 adults will admit that our nation struggles with racism. However, according to a separate survey the publication conducted, out of the 88% of African Americans that agree racism is a prominent issue today, 43% of them do not think there is any hope of race relations ever improving within the country. It is unfortunate that such a staggering percentage of Black people in America do not see hope for improvement in the levels of racism. However, data collected by a multitude of sources can justify such a mentality. According to the FBI, in 2012, out of every 1 million Black people, 50 of them were victims of a serious, sometimes deadly, hate crime. These can range from vandalism on private property, shootings, physical assault, and shouting derogatory racial slurs. Numerous incidents of cross burning on the lawns of African American homes, a practice that dates back to the first wave of the Ku Klux Klan, have been reported in states such as Iowa and Pennsylvania. However, the FBI's assessment of the amount of hate crime incidents that occurred in 2012 is almost certainly an undercount, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. A study conducted by the Bureau of Justice Statistics in 2013 concluded that there are upwards of 200,000 hate crimes in America per year. Racism also permeates the workforce, making it particularly difficult for Blacks to score jobs and have successful careers. Studies have been shown that if one has a Black-sounding name, it is automatically 50% less likely that the individual will get a callback for the job opportunity. However, even colored individuals with names that do not indicate belonging to a specific racial group or educations from some of the top universities in the country struggle to secure careers. In an article for a webazine called Solidarity, one University of Chicago graduate illustrated the struggle to secure a business management position. Despite having a business education from one of the top schools in the country, in a phone interview with the employer, the company seemed genuinely interested in offering him the position, and pleased to have an applicant with so many qualifications. However, once the company met him in person and saw that he was Black, their interest in the applicant waned. The job, he later found out, went to a white individual, far less qualified for the position. Although it is illegal to refrain from hiring someone on the basis of race, companies have found methods of evading this law without facing charges for discrimination. However, the bias of African American people goes beyond unjust treatment from fellow citizens. MappingGunViolence.org reported that throughout 2015, police officers killed over 100 unarmed Black people, approximately 2 deaths every week of the year. 36% of unarmed individuals killed in police shootings were Black, even though African Americans only make up 13% of the population of the U.S. The country's criminal justice system is similarly inequitable to African Americans. Blacks are incarcerated at 5 times the rate of whites, according to the NAACP, a civil rights organization. Note that if colored people were imprisoned at a similar rate to whites, the amount of inmates in the country would decrease by 40%. In famed African-American author Ta-Nehisi Coates' 2015 memoir, Between the World and Me, he wrote of Black people, "What should be our aim beyond meager survival of constant generational ongoing battery and assault? I've asked this question all my life." Coates' book also talked about the almost innate fear he felt towards the streets and authority figures as an African-American growing up in America. Fear of fellow citizens is commonplace for many Blacks living in the United States. "While at work, I'm always on guard, because you never know who will come in through the door," said 29-year-old African-American Scotland Smalls to Al Jazeera for an article about rising racism in America. The United States Declaration of Independence states that all men are created equal, a promise to maintain egalitarianism within the country. This quotation from the founding of our nation remains pertinent to this century. It suggests that all human beings are created equivalent to one another, and skin color should not restrict a right that is woven into the very fabric of our nation. It is not morally acceptable for a country dedicated to freedom and equality treats people of a different race with such disrespect that these individuals must live with a perpetual fear of their fellow citizens, while African Americans struggle to gain opportunities. However, racial tensions within America make that a necessary reality for many Black people. Authority, you can cite the United States Declaration of Independence. And then the conditions of rebuttal are, how can we be racist? For the past 8 years, this country has had a Black president. The reason African Americans are incarcerated at such a high rate is because they commit more crimes than white people. Companies cannot be accused of being racist by not employing Blacks, because they are hiring people who are best qualified for the jobs. If many Black people are not qualified for the same jobs as white people, that is their problem, not the employers. And then the responses to these rebuttals can be, having a president of color does not automatically halt the practice of racism. In fact, when Barack Obama was running for president, many people chose not to vote for him not just because of his policies, but also because he was Black. Throughout his presidency and afterwards, there were instances of racism, such as the 2015 Dylan Roof shooting, when a white supremacist shot a group of Black churchgoers out of racially fueled hatred. This act was later classified as a hate crime. While it is true that, like white people, African Americans commit crimes, many studies and personal stories show that white people are let off the hook for their crimes at a much higher rate. The National War on Drugs is an example of this phenomenon. White Americans are 45% more likely to sell drugs or be involved in drug-related crimes. However, African Americans are almost 4 times as likely to receive charges for selling or possessing drugs. Studies have shown that discrimination in the workplace does exist for people of different races. In an experiment conducted by the Washington, D.C. think tank Urban Institute, it was shown that when 3 men of different races with all the same qualifications applied for the same job, it was the white man that would get the position. It concluded that a Black man was 3 times more likely to be refused a job than a white man was. Racism in this nation is a significant issue, one that is of high importance. By the year 2050, it is expected that the current minority groups in America, including African Americans, will make up more than half the country's total population. If different races cannot learn to live together cohesively, with respect for one another, then one day when minority groups make up a majority, people of different walks of life will not be able to work together to keep the nation prosperous.
Right.